All right, welcome. It's the 151st episode of the Mina's House podcast. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Shana B.
Garnett Briscoe, aka Sherlock Homeboi.
What was that?
No. We're just excited to be back.
Come on, man. Come on.
Dexter, aka Dex the One.
AKA Dex with the dope background.
It's Halloween. This is one of my favorite holidays.
Yeah,
Me
man.
too.
That's how to do this, man, because I don't know how to do that. I think that is cool. That's dope.
Garnett Pooh was about to turn into Iron Man right now with his day. Show him your headphones.
Oh.
I thought
gamers.
I'm like, what in the Iron Man is going on here?
I'll be into it.
Is that what you're gonna be for Halloween?
Nah, I can't show y'all yet, but Saturday is on.
We should have dressed up. It's just been such a heavy week.
Yeah.
You know, especially for people in Philly, with protests going on and looting and shootings. It's hard to get into the Halloween spirit because of all the craziness going on in the world. But what are you guys gonna be for Halloween?
Well, I'm only doing Halloween for the other podcasts that are doing. And I'm dressed as Little Wayne.
That's it?
That's it. I don't have nowhere to go.
I know, but you can still do Halloween.
In my house by myself? So I'm gonna get dressed up to sit here?
Yeah, to take pictures. No?
Which is really sad because I really get into Halloween.
Yeah, what's Halloween to you? Going out to parties? Is that what makes Halloween?
Well, usually we do a contest at work, which I win every year. We usually do that.
You do.
And, we don't have that, so it's kind of like, what are you supposed to do? I don't go to parties or anything. So
I was gonna ask, is that your whole Halloween? Just get dressed up for work?
Yeah, and then I'll stay home on Halloween night and I'll watch horror movies and stuff.
You can still do that.
Yeah, but I will, with not a costume.
How about you, Shane? Are you gonna be anything?
Haven't been anything for Halloween since as long as I can remember. My one girlfriend, she has a birthday tomorrow. So she typically has a Halloween party, and I might get dressed up for that. The last couple of years she's gone away. She's having a dinner on Friday, but it's not a dress up. So I'm just gonna be Shayna.
If you dress up, Shannon, you cannot be a cat. Nothing drives me crazier than girls who dress as cats with those. Wait, Mina, you did that before. You did that before.
Okay, so Dex and I used to work together. So I always have my real costume, which is I'm usually a scantily clad superhero. I think that's how you say it. A half naked superhero. That's usually what I do, right? That's my thing. Batwoman half naked, Wonder Woman half naked. That's what I do. But you can't wear that to work. So I always buy the little cheap little costumes to go to work, which is why I was a cat one year or bunny. And then I got my real costume. We can't hear you, Dex. Oh.
I'm sorry, that's fair. It wasn't necessarily you specifically, but I saw the girl, one of the Portia Williams from the Housewives, she dressed as a cat and she had ears on and gloves. And I'm like, where's the costume? What are you doing?
That's what happens when you on a budget.
Can I guess your costume right now? Because I feel like you're halfway dressed.
No, this isn't it right now, but I'm gonna do a Lil Wayne thing. I'm gonna do the tattoos on the face and the hair and all that stuff.
What are you, a hockey player?
Now it's nothing. It's just me. It's just I just wear this because it's Halloween colors.
Okay, because that's what was confusing me was that with the background. So I thought I knew, but I was wrong.
Well, I was gonna be Megan Thee Stallion, her as a Cheshire Cat, but then I went online and saw that costumes were $70. And I was
Out of budget.
Well, see what Amazon Prime did to my budget.
Prime Day.
Right, Prime Day kind of got in the way. So I couldn't really spend those $70 on a costume. So I had to make my little Cheshire Cat costume. So I got the stockings and the tutu. I'm gonna wear a black leotard, and I just got the little ears and a wig.
Made costumes are the best though, because you'll get it. People will know exactly what you're trying to do when you explain it or you show it to them. They're like, "Oh, that's perfect! You did it." I would never spend $70 on a costume.
I have before.
I for this costume, I think I spent about $37 total.
30
You did good.
No, it
You
was
didn't even want
actually
to round it
amazing.
up to 40.
No. We gotta keep it under 40. Gotta keep it under 40. Now, but I was gonna be everybody here seen Good Burger?
Yeah.
Remember Good Burger? So
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
so I just ended up going to the thrift store and I found majority of the stuff there. And then I ended up, the guy gave me a discount on top of the already discount stuff. So I got like all of my clothes and stuff for about $5.
So what you spend the other 32
Right.
on?
I got to get the hair and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
The hair cost you $30.
Yeah, yeah.
You should have went to Walmart. I got a wig at Walmart for $10.
Well, I think when they were looting the other day, I think they looted Walmart because I went there today I was trying to be Dexter's Laboratory, so I wanted the little red wig. There's almost next to nothing in there.
I don't know why you waited until like 3 days before Halloween to get a costume.
Everything to do. Wait until the last minute.
I tried like a week before and I was like, oh, they price gouging on these damn costumes. First of all, remember when a costume used to be for an adult, used to be $25 to $30, and even then it was a lot. Now it's like 50, 60, 70. I saw an $80 Cheshire Cat costume. I'm like, that's my groceries for 3 weeks.
See, I've always been costumes I had access to. Like, I was always like a Sixers dancer or something like that. So I never really, even as an adult, I have bought a costume.
Now, I always thought it was kind of like that. Like, costumes always been expensive. It's like, even as a kid, when you trying to get like the nice mask and all that stuff, like the mask usually about $40, $50 alone. And then you got to get the rest of the stuff, the hands. And so I definitely remember like growing up, it was a lot. That's why I kind of ain't dress up where I got creative.
And I'll tell y'all one quick Halloween story. One year, I decided I wanted to be a grape. And my mom was like, sure, like, you'll make the costume. So I had a leotard tights. And I went and got tape. And then I blew up all the green balloons. And walking around North Philly, we lived in North Philly at the time. By the end of the night, I had like one string of balloons like dragging because it was windy. And I didn't consider the wind would knock the balloons and the tape off. It was sad.
That's
People
what
was
happened.
like, what are you? I was like, I was a grape.
You don't going to get no candy. Your costume was terrible. They said you can't get no candy.
That's the one strand of like balloons still hanging on so that they get still understood. It was some stuff with it.
Your candy has been reneged. Speaking of grapes, let's talk about in the grape family is a raisin. And we got to talk about Drake's birthday menu. Now, everybody's trying to stay away from the Rona, so everything is really low key. So low key for Drake is taking his private plane, Air Drake, to Vegas from Canada and having a little private dinner for his birthday with a complete menu, right? So he has first and seconds, which I guess is appetizers. You know, rich people be doing stuff. Just call it an appetizer and a dinner. Talk about first, seconds, and thirds. Like, what? When I think of seconds, I think of I want the same thing again. I don't think of a whole nother meal, okay? But his first meal was calamari, sushi, kale, and Caesar salad. Us common folk knows that as appetizers, right? His second course was chicken bolognese, which is fancy, steak frites, which I love, grilled shrimp, grilled cauliflower, and mac and cheese. But people had pointed out that the mac and cheese has capers in it, sun-dried tomatoes, like what they put in pesto, parsley, and raisins. So people say, how you got all that money and your birthday food is trash? I wanted to talk about that specifically, but then also weird things that people throw into their foods. Like my mother throws sometimes apples in the potato salad. And I think that's weird. Some people think that's weird, but it actually tastes kind of bomb. Like, what do you guys think about raisins and Drake's mac and cheese?
Is there cheese in it too? Because a lot of times people call it mac and cheese, but there's no cheese in it. It's just like the macaroni noodles.
I think there's cheese in it. It
I
didn't say
think
cheese, but I would think so.
Like cheese.
I mean, I don't care how rich you are. Mac and cheese is macaroni and cheese at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Well, I know. I maybe I'll taste it because I've had chicken salad and they put raisins in it.
Right.
Different for me. I've never like my family would make chicken salad. We don't do that. So like maybe I would have to try it. But a sun-dried tomato and a raisin in the same dish together, that's just a bit much.
and a cake.
It almost seemed like
Right.
the person they got bored in the kitchen and it was like, oh damn, I got this left, and this. I'm gonna throw this in. So.
I thought the sun-dried tomato was weird because when I think of sun-dried tomato, I think of pesto. Even like capers, when I think of capers, I think of penne and vodka. Like, I don't think those go together.
I think it's kind of fitting. Like, it would be Drake to eat, raisins with macaroni. It would be him out of all of the like rappers or entertainers you could like think of. Like, I feel like that like fits him best. He always comes with the like. He's just always out of the box. Maybe it's because he's Canadian, he's half white. Like, it could be a lot of things that's going on within that, but it's fitting. Would I try it? I don't know. Maybe just because Drake tried it might be good. So I don't know. I might, but that's not something normal that we do around my household at all. We kind of leave mac and cheese alone. We keep it simple, and that's it. Maybe, I know people like to throw, seafood and stuff in there, but other than that, we kind of keep it normal.
Yeah. I was gonna say I have done and cooked like lobster mac and obviously like seafood mac with shrimp, but grapes, raisins, peppers. It sounds like somebody started to make a pasta dish and to Jack's point, only had like macaroni noodles and then said, you know what? I'm gonna throw some cheese in there. Like that's what it sounds like. That it wasn't supposed to be mac and cheese, but somehow it got to mac and cheese. Because it just don't sound normal. Like you wouldn't start the mac and cheese and then start adding these things in. So maybe they were trying to make like an Italian dish that said, "Oh, I only have elbow macaroni, and I'm gonna add this cheese in," and then it just evolved. But you would probably have to trick me to eat that because I'm not eating.
So, what do you think is the weirdest thing? Because people were tripping off the raisin. I think I'm more so weirded out by the capers and the sun-dried tomatoes. Like, or I can even do the sun-dried tomatoes, because some people put tomatoes in their mac and cheese to make it fancy, I guess. But I think the capers is really what threw me off the most over the raisins.
Oh no, it's the raisins for me. It's the raisins.
How about y'all?
Yeah, it's looking more so like the raisins, but I'm actually open to it. I feel like, if you travel to different countries, sometimes you don't know what you're eating. So like a raisin, it can't be that bad. We know what it tastes like. So it can't mess up mac and cheese that bad.
Let's just talk about your digestive system though. So you gonna have mac and cheese with raisins. It's going to be and you didn't have the first course, and we didn't get to the other one. So it's going to be an interesting night and morning for you. That's all I'm thinking.
And liquor. They're going to be drinking liquor too.
And liquor. Woo,
of course.
woo.
Oh yeah.
Well, I would try it. Listen, wow. I really would try it. I think rich people's trash food is probably tastes gourmet to us. So.
I don't know. I think it's overrated. Honestly.
What, rich people food?
I think our food is way better. Way better. We season our food. It's made with love, not wealth. It's gonna taste better.
Then you got questions on the cheese. Did they really use real dairy or non-dairy products?
Or did they use sharp cheddar? Or what you using?
We don't know.
Like what cheese pairs well with raisins?
It gotta be sharp cheddar, y'all. If he did anything besides sharp cheddar, I don't know what to tell you.
He probably did.
All right. Since we're on this subject, let's talk about Saweetie, right? So, Saweetie, I think she was being kind of funny when she said this on social media, but it kind of blew up when she said that your man should be paying your bills and buying you Birkin bags, right? So people just started going off because there's so many layers to all of that. Again, continuing with our conversation from last week about how I don't know what is going on about this craze with the Birkin bag. I even saw Lil Yachty come out and be like, oh, I started the Birkin bag craze. Because, he wrote the verse for Act Up, the City Girls.
Yeah.
So what's the lyric? Big Birkin body bag. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that lyric? Yeah, that they have it in the Act Up. You can get some Act Up. Remember?
You had it almost correct.
Yeah, big Birkin body bag. 20.
Something about it. N-word.
Yeah, something. Yeah. But what do you think about what Saweetie said? Is that still a requirement? I mean, it's 2020 here. Are we still requiring our man to pay the bills?
I mean, I'm not even, because it might have been a joke for her, right? She might have tweeted it jokingly, but that is like a narrative that I feel like that's bad to have. Like, if somebody can't buy you something that we know to be very expensive, right? Like, very expensive. If he can't buy you that, then leave him alone. So, and he's supposed to pay your bills, and I'm pretty sure do a bunch of stuff, and still give you good sex. Like, he gotta be.
That's a lot.
He gotta be a rich superhero, basically. And I mean, that I just think that narrows the pool down to a very few amount of men that can afford your lifestyle that you say that you require out of nowhere. Because it's a lot of these women. How is that your requirements when you don't even have it? Like, how is that your requirement and you don't even have it? So I just feel like that narrative is pretty messed up, because at the end of the day, it don't make sense. And this is why people have relationship problems. It's hard to find a good this or a good that, because they all chasing after the 6 guys in their neighborhood that can afford to do it.
Thank you, because that was my point. I think she was probably kind of joking, her and Quavo, she had whatever was going on at the time. And obviously the Birkins is in conversation. So she knew it would be a point of like people talking about it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what happened to finding like a good man, a man that's not cheating on you, running you down? So again, narrowing the pool. So it's okay if he pay my bills and buy, like, those are the requirements that he has to meet. He doesn't have to have loyalty and consistency and respect. As long as he pay my bills and get me a Birkin bag, like, no, I'm cool. I'll take a 9-to-5er that, can give me the other things. And if we got to pay bills halfway, then that's what we do. But again, we're talking about Saweetie, and they're in a different lifestyle than, most of us are in. But that just kind of like makes me, again, with the like social responsibility that a lot of these celebrities carry, because you do have a lot of young girls that'll look up to a Saweetie, and they probably shouldn't, but we'll look up to a Saweetie and think like, yes, if he ain't doing this and this, well, guess what? That little guy down the street is not, if he is buying you a Birkin bag, I'm confused and I'm scared. He did it.
He's getting it on consignment.
The thing is, though, Shana, you said that, they're not requiring the loyalty and the things like that. That's because they're not bringing that to the table either. They're coming empty-handed, just like, give me this, and I got this, and I got sex. What else you need? That and some good Instagram pictures, probably. But that's it. They're not coming to the table with any of the things that you just named at all.
I want you to really kind of like minimize it, though. Don't think so much about the Birkin, because I think people were really dragging her about the Birkin. Like, hello, us average folk ain't, buying $10,000, $15,000 bags. But on an even smaller scale of just saying that part of your man's requirement is to pay bills and buy you bags, even if it's a Coach bag or a Michael Kors bag or whatever. Like, is that a requirement in a relationship? You're engaged, Dexter. Do you pay the bills and buy her bags?
I think honestly, it's one of those situations where it's like whatever works for you. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people will say, like, right off the back, where like a woman is like, to be with me, you got to do this, 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 and this. And then they get into a relationship and it's not that. You know what I mean? Like, they'll say, like, you got to pay all my bills. You got to take care of, like, whatever. I'm not going to work. I don't want to do this. Those same people are either single or they get in these relationships, and you never know what's happening behind closed doors. Like, you can say all this stuff out loud, like, most of these women do. But then behind closed doors, like you're paying all the bills, or you know what I mean? You're footing the charges for stuff like this. So for me, like if that works for you, that's what you want to do. Like I think that's okay. I don't think you should ever say that should be a requirement for everybody else, because like you guys were saying, like there are regular guys out here who don't have it like that. So like if you're a woman and you're listening to someone say that and you go into your regular relationship and you're like, well, I want this same thing, this guy's gonna be like, well, I don't got it like that.
Yo, what I've learned in my life is you got to pick, right? Do you want the good sex? Do you want the bills paid, or do you want someone who's going to love you and cherish you and nurture you and support you? Because from my experience, it is a rare unicorn that is walking around with all of that.
And he might cheat on you. Like he might be buying you all this stuff, but then he's cheating on you. But also I think we need to be careful with making this like a societal norm. I think this is something for women. People might not like this, but I think this is something for women that they like. Women like saying that. It sounds good to say like somebody's going to pay all my bills and buy me these bags. That sounds great. So I think that's a stereotype that women like uplift, and they like that. On the flip side of it, this same woman will get mad if somebody's like, well, why don't you have kids? Why aren't you married? Those are quote unquote requirements of women from a societal standpoint. So like, if you're going to uplift this one, don't be mad when some says to you, why are you not married? Why don't you have kids? Because those are annoying questions. Nobody wants to be asked that. But at the same time, no man wants to be said like, you're going to do this, 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 and this. Like, we got to stop that.
Yeah. I just think it's really, I just think that part of it is just kind of dumb. I know women who literally will be like, I will not date a man if he doesn't pay the bills, if he doesn't pay every time I eat. You know, I think that's such an old school way of thinking. And look, if that's your requirement, I think that's on you. I'm not going to be judgy as to what everybody wants in their relationship. But I also think that in 2020, women have come so far that you should be able to do the same thing. I have no respect for a woman that has all her bills paid by a man, but she can't do it herself. Now, if you a bad B and you can pay your own bills and buy your own bag and get your man to pay it, then hats off to you, girl. But how you gonna require a man to do something that you can't do for yourself? That means you need him to do this stuff. And what kind of independent, right? And what kind of independent independent woman needs a man to pay her bills? So I think it's really like it. You know, to your point, Dexter, I think it's nice to say, but I also think for your own, I guess, dignity as a woman, like, be able to do it for yourself as well. And in Saweetie's situation, she absolutely can. But we're talking about just general. Mm-hmm. You know, what is required from a man in a relationship? Me, I don't really need a man to pay my bills. You can pay my student loans off. Look, I said that on air too. I was like, please save your little $10,000, $15,000 on this bag. And how about you buy me my next investment property? Okay. Okay. Because then that can make me money that I'll buy my own damn bag. How about that? Or you can pay these little $77,000 that I owe to, Fed loan for my student loans. How about you do that? All right. Moving on. I want to talk about this election because it's getting so crazy. There's so many lies flying back and forth. And in Philly, there was a shooting of another man by a police officer, and his name is Walter Wallace. And it just renews this conversation about police training reform. This man had a knife. Why was the first alternative to shoot him dead? They fired 11 shots. 10 of them hit him. Why was that the first shot? Where were the rubber bullets? Where was the tasing? Where is the specialist that can talk down a mentally unstable person that is running around West Philly with a knife? So all these questions are renewed, but this is not just a thing specific to Philly. This is going on around the country. Even white people are being treated differently that are struggling with mental illness and having an encounter with police than Black people are. So our next president is really going to determine where this goes, because I see more of an agenda from Biden when it comes to police, at least a little bit. He's more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't think there's a problem with what's going on in the police department. How are you guys feeling about this election?
It's funny that you mentioned the situation that happened in Philadelphia yesterday, because honestly, I forgot. like that happened, and it's so fresh in my mind. It just happened yesterday, but like as we're talking right now, like I'm getting alerts that people are looting and like Walmarts and stuff like that. They're literally stealing televisions out of Walmart. And it's hard for me to really have the conversation about like the election and like Black Lives Matters and stuff like that when like stuff like this also happens. And it's such a distraction for me overall, where it's just like, you know, I have so many thoughts about police brutality and the election and stuff like that, but it's like I just don't think we answer the call the proper way. Like, I don't think stealing the TV out of Walmart is going to help competition on either side want to do more for you. And like, we know in Philadelphia that it's possible to not shoot someone when you're in the altercation. We just last year witnessed the situation, or maybe earlier this year, witnessed the situation where a man barricaded himself in a home after he was being served a warrant. He shot a officer, barricaded himself in the house, and someone came down there, his lawyer came down there, talked him down, and this man is now serving time. We're capable of doing that. And this is the same police department. I always say you never compare two situations. We can't compare Arizona to Philadelphia. All this stuff happened in Philadelphia. So why did you guys not take any other actions? Like, you don't care. Then when you look at the looting and stuff like that, it's just kind of like nobody should be doing this. But last week, nobody was looting Walmart. You know what I mean? So like, it's only happening now because you give people these opportunities to do this stuff. If this should never happen, nobody will be able to take the opportunity to run up inside of a Walmart and steal a television out of there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just definitely disheartening. But to Mina's point, I think it goes back to a lot of the training. Unfortunately, watching the video and just looking at the officers prior to, them shooting him, you could clearly see like the level of panic on their faces. And I guess I was just thinking, like, I'm not saying that police officers aren't human, but when it comes to a life or death or a serious situation, I don't want to see panic on your faces, because you should be trained enough to be able to know that you're going to have to deal with very serious situations like this. And then again, his mother called the police for help.
Right.
She called for help. And you guys kill her son right in front of her in broad daylight, in front of all these people. And that, going back to the training, what happened? Why did both officers and all these officers start shooting? Why couldn't one, even if you felt at that point you were in imminent danger, shoot once to try to disarm him?
They're not taught
again,
that.
Yeah, like I saw that comment that they said he was too far away to taser. And it's like, but then he was too far away to be in imminent, for you guys to feel like you were in very imminent danger. And then, of course, contrastly, like once you shoot him, they show his mother, and rightfully so, she's hitting the police officer. You're not shooting her. So it's just like, the situation could have been handled in so many different ways. And again, it fundamentally goes back to their training. There's no reason that you have to train longer to be a hairdresser, a barber, a teacher, any of these other things. And then when you have life and death in the palm of your hands and the power of that, you're in like a crash course, training course to be able to hold that type of power. Like, I'm not one that says fully defund the police, but there's definitely got to be widespread reform, and the training is number one. Half of these people probably don't even go through a proper psychological training for you to really know whether they can hold up in this position. If they're going to show panic in a situation with a mentally unstable man that was documented to had mental illness, his mother's trying to tell you he suffers from mental illness, and to shoot him 10, 11 times in the middle of the day, in the middle of the street. Like, it can't be the way that's their, again, rubber bullets. Like when you were
right. But here's the thing. How does that apply to the election? You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I don't have
all this stuff
either.
has been said before. We've been here. We've had these conversations on previous podcasts, but it's like, nothing is changing. We've had this conversation. We've seen this happen. It's like, that's why I wanted to talk about more so how this impacts the election, or doesn't it? Because we have two candidates who feel very differently about what is going on with the police right now.
Yeah,
I don't feel like it does, in a sense of, from a presidential standpoint, on a local and a congressional level. I feel like, that's where more of the focus when it comes to the police will be on. And I understand that the president influences some of that. But I think, for those people that are voting for the congressional seats, the senator seats, like, you need to pay attention to who you're voting for. Because we all know that there's not a sweeping thing that you can do across the nation necessarily when it comes to police, because we're all funded differently. But obviously, from a support standpoint, we do know that one candidate has been more vocal about supporting a reform than
Right.
the other. I do feel like in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania is such an important state for this election, it is going to impact what happens next Tuesday if the rioting and the looting continue. Will people be able to kind of vote safely as we lead up to Tuesday?
And also, like you said, one candidate has been a lot more vocal about, Black Lives Matter and stuff like
Right.
that. If you're in Philadelphia right now and you're not Black and you look at what's happening with the looting and stuff like that, would you really want to vote for a president who says Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's difficult to turn on your television and see this kind of stuff every day. And I feel like as citizens, like, we don't do our part enough as far as not being in certain things, because like we want support from other people, but like you can't do certain things and expect support. Like criminals can't beg for justice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the presidential election is going to change any of this like right away. I don't think they're capable to touch the people that need to be helped out in service in these moments right here. I feel like whatever's going on with the police, it's an internal problem that needs to be fixed. I don't know if it's training or not, because some of the things it's just empathy. Like you were saying, Shana, like you were saying, it's like, come on, man, that's honestly the worst video I ever watched in my life, and that's just for my personal reasons. Seeing this video and just hearing that cry and shout of his mother, like this was in front of his loved ones. You mean to tell me that you can't even reassess the situation? Yes, you got called here for one thing. You show up, it escalates. You didn't help it, because in any battle, a gun never de-escalates a situation, ever. It always heightens the situation even more, because now the other person really feels like, okay, well, you trying to take my life. Now, I'm just saying, as far as the election with that, and it, I don't think that's going to change it. I feel like that's empathy, that's love, that's having the right people around as far as cops, because just like in any police department at work or there's different cliques. Not every officer is going to act like that in that situation, you know, but there are cliques that roll a certain way, and they're going to act like that every time, because that's how that person got brought up and taught the game, regardless. And in that video, there was, a man that actually pointed at one of the cops and was talking to one of the guys, and he's like, hey, it's always something with him, which means he's a known figure around there, and they're used to having that aggressive manner, maybe not like this, but that boy didn't act surprised when he said that. It's like, if it was going to be anybody, it was going to be this police officer. But the training is one thing, but they get retrained when they're out on the force. None of that matters, because they go through all of these procedures, the rubber bullets, the tasers, they go through all of that, and they pass it with flying colors. That don't work outside, and they know, like, that's not what they're preaching outside. So it's the partners, it's the groups, it's the cliques, it's the lieutenants that's seeing it and allow with certain things. It's so much deeper than just the actual training, because clearly they keep ignoring that. And I'm not sure if it's Trump or Biden that's going to be able to provide the people that kind of help.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because I interviewed both Biden and Kamala recently, and I didn't tell them what to say. I asked them general questions to see how they kind of weave their platform. And to be honest, they are the only ones that are speaking up about what's happening. Kamala said that they want to create a national registry for police officers that have been fired, so they can't get jobs in other precincts. So the fact that that's even a conversation, I feel like they are more about, hey, this is an issue, something that we need to address. Even Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that brought up, that said, look, we see what's going on in the world. There's real racism out here, and we can't have a president that kind of feeds into that kind of rhetoric, So he said that to me. So it's like, but on the other end, the other side isn't saying anything. They're the ones that are gassing protesters and shooting rubber bullets at protesters. So even when the situation happened this week in Philly, because I'm in that election mode and it's do or die, at least in my brain, I feel like it even makes me more anxious about the election, because people need to understand that civil rights and any kind of real reform depends on if we have a president who is going to be pro or con, and with a black woman on Joe Biden's ballot, I feel like this would hit harder for her to really try to push, some kind of reform. Do I think that electing Joe Biden is going to fix the issue? No, but I think it helps when you have the leadership at the top trying to force there to be some kind of reform or change, or at least talking about it as one of their platforms, and you have the other side who's literally contributing to the problem.
Right. And like I said, I would pay attention to who else is on your ballot. Who are your Congress people that have they spoken up about it? Like when you go cast that vote, and if they're on there, are you just going to vote because it's a name you've seen, or because you know what they're standing for when it comes to this issue? Because they are all important to the fight as well.
Dex, you worry me, because I was reading an article that said that the black man is going to be an important voice in this election. And what I'm reading about it is that a lot of black men don't like either or. So that scares me, because that translates into I'm not going to vote. Yeah. And in this election, that is very scary, especially for the black man, because the black man is the one that's being persecuted on the street. So the black man is the one that needs the most out of everyone, the reforms, the changes, the re-education, the police training to be different, because this is the group that's being victimized the most. Yeah. So it really scares me that is the group that's disengaged, because that is the group right now that needs this the most. You literally have a president that's shooting bullets at protesters. Do you think he's gonna, if he gets elected again, he's gonna fight for police reform?
It's difficult. I think that's a really hard one. I think I know why so many are disengaged. There's ones that are doing what they're supposed to do. And I think those ones are like me. I think those are the ones that are like, I want to vote. I want to do the right thing. But then it's kind of like, but where do I vote though? Because like when we're saying like Joe Biden apologizes a lot for the 94 crime bill, but there's a lot of us right now who would vote for that. Like we look at what's happening in our communities and we're like, yes, lock these people up. Like we're looking at people looting in Walmart and we're like, yes, lock these people up. And he's apologizing for doing that because I think it obviously didn't go as planned. But all black people aren't good. Like there are some people that are doing stuff that like, we don't want to be associated with these people. And these are probably people who are not going to vote. They don't care about voting. They don't care about it. They don't care about George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or any of this stuff. They don't care. They're taking advantage of the system over and over and over. And it's like, do I really want to associate with myself with these people and give Joe Biden my vote and just and pacify them? Or am I like more like, you know what, Donald Trump is trying to bring law and order. Like if it was up to him, when he saw the stuff that was happening last night, the National Guard would have been in Philadelphia right now. And would that be a bad thing? Like,
I think they're on their way though.
I mean, but seeing like what's happening right now, is that a bad thing to have the National Guard here right now?
But yes, Dex, because you know what? I was having this conversation with my friend and I was a part of the peaceful protest, right? That was for George Floyd. And it started off as a peaceful protest. And do you know why it turned into a riot? Because the police came. The police came. I was there and I put video up. The police came with their riot gear and they came in like they were ready to go to war, and they came in like we were all hostiles. And when you come in with that energy and address of people, what are you gonna get? And I've never been any kind of aggressive or violent towards police officers, but if I'm exercising my right to peacefully protest and you come in treating me like I'm a criminal, you got your riot gear on, you ready to go to war, you throwing gas tanks at me, what do you think you're gonna get? So it's like we are in these situations where why are people looting, Dex? Because a police officer shot a person. So why are you blaming those people instead of saying we need someone to address the police officer shooting the person?
At the same time, we're in Philadelphia and we've had 400 homicides this year, and most of those people were Black. And guess what? It wasn't police officers that were shooting all those people. So then what? Like, we weren't doing anything about this stuff, and we consistently make excuses, and that's not okay. We can't keep doing that. I think that's the reason why we're in the situation we're in right now, because we pacify people and make excuses. We have to stop.
Yeah, but those are apples and oranges. Police shooting civilians is completely different than crimes happening in the neighborhood. They're two separate issues. And just because one is happening doesn't mean that we don't pay attention to the other one.
And I'm one of those people who have that same argument. I've had that argument that you just said with people, like, we cannot compare the two. Police are there to protect and serve us. Regular citizens, that is not their job to protect and serve. Wherever you go, the homicide rate is, like, Black people are going to kill Black people more in their neighborhoods, white people. I've had that argument before, but I'm fed up with it because yesterday was an insult to me. 400 people have been killed in Philadelphia. A lot of them are kids, and we did nothing about it. I understand we don't have to go protest when there's Black on Black crime and stuff like that, but what did we do? And what do we do when this happens? Like, what do we do? What do we say? Like, there's nothing that's being done, nothing is being said, and then we look to our presidential candidates to be like, well, what are you guys going to do? And they're like, well, what the hell are y'all doing? And we don't do anything. We pacify these people.
I was going to say to both of your points, and I wasn't there yesterday, so this is total hearsay, but I've heard it from multiple people, that the protests yesterday started in West Philly very peacefully, and that there were other groups, I'm not going to say skin colors, but let me just say
I heard
Black,
white people
that started the violence that then led, again, no excuse, because we are the ones that then did it.
I saw that.
Started it, that were saying Trump 2020 incited it, and then was like, all right, y'all got the message, peace, roll out.
I saw that. I saw that with my own eyes when I was protesting for George Floyd. With my own eyes, I saw a white boy right next to me. Mm-hmm. With my own eyes.
Did you see a white boy run out of T-Mobile and run out of Foot Locker? Like just because somebody throws a rock does not mean you need to pick up one and throw it too. Like,
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying to keep in mind that the Black people that live in that neighborhood of West Philly, they started out the evening. I saw it. People were posting it online. It was all peaceful protests. The violence apparently escalated when groups came in. And again, not making excuses for you continue to do it today. Apparently the liquor store in Broad Street was robbed in broad daylight. So I'm not making excuses for the continuation, but let's not lose sight of, we do fall into those traps, which is a shame, but there are outside influences that we are allowing to influence the charge and how we move forward in these situations.
I was gonna say, I do think even with the looting and everything else, the protests that end up, turns into riots, that some people may go into that situation, feeling like, like this is what I want to do because it needs more coverage. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if there was no protest or if there was no riots, maybe the news wouldn't give a F about what's going on in this city. And I feel like it's probably just a trend that's happening too, because, it's been happening everywhere. Someone's been killed by the cops, wrongly killed. So I feel like it's kind of like a trend as well that people are following, where it's like, hey, it's time to bring the news coverage here because this person's life matters as well. Like, this is on camera as well. So let's bring the news here. Let's riot. Let's mess this up so we can try to have a fair enough trial so these guys just don't get off and swept under the rug.
I just urge people to vote. Dexter, listen, let me just say this to you, Dexter. I understand where you're coming from, but you have to think, do you vote for the guy that's not going to help either issue? Or do you vote for the guy that's actually going to try to at least address one issue? And all issues cannot be addressed for all parties. That is the most difficult thing in politics. I have a dual major, television, radio, and film, and political science. I thought I was going to be a politician at one point. When you actually get into that world, I was like, oh no, this world ain't for me. But it is very hard to pacify multiple groups of people, multiple constituents. You know what I'm saying? Because your interests are always going to be different from Shayna's interests. And Shayna's interests are going to be different from Garnett's. And Garnett's are going to be different from mine. Because we all live different lives. We make different money. We have different values. We have different things that we prioritize. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that what is happening in Philly is really just, it makes me more worried about the election, because I need my president to say there is something wrong and it needs to be changed, and it's top down. You know what I'm saying? I don't need my president shooting bullets at people and gassing them for exercising their freedom of speech and protest. It doesn't help. So Dexter, I hope you're telling your friends to vote
I,
for
I
the
I'm into it. I vote. I tell my friends,
okay.
I encourage people to vote, but it's just right now it's just a lot, and it's kind of crazy that it's happening so close to the election, because like honestly, like tonight was really one of those situations where I question, like, do I really want to vote for this guy still? Like, I did question it. We'll see.
But and Dexter, to your point about the black on black crime, the other thing you got to think about with these candidates, and for not for necessarily you, but people on the fence like you, if you are sick of that, you definitely too need to look at which candidate is okay with flooding the streets with guns, because that's continuing to. I mean, they all want to pad their pockets from the NRA. Let's just get that straight. But what candidate is okay and has repealed certain things that Obama put in place to protect so guns aren't aptly available, and what candidate wants more restrictions around that. So that's also important. We know that guns come in a myriad of other ways. I understand that,
I don't
but
know
I'm
if
just saying.
like, but I do. I just want to be like very clear that I am supporting Joe Biden. I do.
Right. I'm just using you.
I just see a lot of this stuff that's happening, and it scares me that if Joe Biden gets in, he's not going to be allowed to say certain things either. Like this stuff that we're upset about, like that I'm like pissed off about right now. Joe Biden can't touch this. You know what I mean? Like he can't say anything bad
Right.
about these people that are looted, and that's
Right.
scary. Like
Well,
that allowed to do that.
that's the thing. This is a city issue we're talking about. This is not a national issue.
Right now, but in June and July, it was the world. Everybody.
Right. But what I'm saying is has to be a national conversation, is what I'm saying. And it has not been a national conversation because our current president is okay with sending the military in to shoot bullets at peaceful protesters. Okay.
Would you be okay if the National Guard put up to Foot Locker on Aramingo Avenue right now and start shooting rubber bullets and tear gas?
No. Unless you see people stealing businesses.
They are breaking these.
Yes.
So they're running out of there with boxes of shoes, no bags, no receipts. They're running out of there with
right.
boxes.
Those aren't people who are protesting.
So
those are opportunists. That's stealing. That has nothing to do with protests.
Can they be shot with rubber bullets?
Yeah, they're stealing. Yes, as long as you don't shoot them. As long as you don't shoot them dead, that's what rubber bullets are supposed to do. They're supposed to scare you and cause you to stop.
I do have something to say about, because I had this conversation a little bit earlier about even the rubber bullets thing. Like I get it in certain situations where what's about to happen, like that's intended for, but I don't think you should be sending your guys out into, outside with the rubber bullets and not real ones. I just think that they have to know when and how to use it.
I agree.
That, because it's other people out here that, shoot back at the cops and actually shoot the cops and kill them. So they don't need to have rubber bullets at all for that. Yeah. But they do need to know when it's time to use that, when it's not time to use that. They have other weapons and other tactics to diffuse the situation.
I was having this conversation with my friend, and I'm not a fan of defund the police because I do think the police need to be there for a reason. But I think my friend put it a good way. Shout out to my friend Adam. He said the funds need to be redistributed, And one of the things that I think is kind of interesting is when there's a hostage situation, right? They bring in a specialist to deal with the hostage, to deal with the person that's holding the people hostage. Because at that point, it's a mind thing, right? That needs to be the same situation with the police. They need to have people on board that can step in and come at it from more of a social, a social worker aspect of it, trying to, talk someone off of the ledge rather than, hey, let me shoot this person. So when you have these two cops, it should be the one cop is very trained in military tactics and bullets and stuff like that. But there needs to be another cop that is a part of the squad that is more trained in human psychology, and maybe that person has the rubber bullets. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there isn't that kind of distribution when it comes to, let's make sure that we're sending out cops that can deal with multiple issues. They're trained how to deal with every issue the same way, and it's not working.
Right. I was gonna say a friend who was a social worker said that same exact thing. She said she's like they need to have like social workers, or whether she's like a lot of the precincts are associated with different psychiatrists, but they really just need to be on staff versus being called in for an interrogation type thing,
Right.
so that they can come out. Because again, that call in particular was about, hey, he has mental illness. So if someone is there that can help with that, understanding it's a quick call, which is why they would need to be like at the precinct, already on staff.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this person. I just had a quick question for you guys. Do you think that maybe if they didn't have like somebody on staff, like right now, we kind of need like in certain situations, maybe like police, we know how police are in certain situations. Do you think people maybe in the neighborhood could take on that role a little bit?
No.
And so, like,
No, I don't think so.
because like yesterday was a perfect example of it, where there were people around the area recording it, talking to him and stuff and whatnot. And I think they failed him, because I think they could have tried to de-escalate that situation a little bit more. Like, I get it, like from as a black man, I it's hard, because I think that I would have wanted to step in and say like, look, put this knife down, like they're going to kill you. But at the same time, like I know that how police officers are with black people, and I could have ended up getting shot too. But I just think that they failed him yesterday, because they did have a responsibility to get that knife out of his hand as well.
Yeah, they tried. His
Nope.
mom was grabbing him, like he had to run around.
In the area did not do anything.
No,
They recorded it and they laughed.
No, the one guy recorded it and he did whatever, but there were multiple people there. I don't know what happened before that, but it seemed like he was trying to get away from them and break away from them in order to get around, I guess, to do whatever he was going to do. But it was 4 people following him for a reason. So I would just assume to say that they would.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
I just think in general, this requires a professional, and when you have people that are not professionals in the community trying to interfere, it might make things chaotic and confusing for police officers. When you're in a high level situation like that and people are screaming and yelling, there's a lot. Doesn't it make you nervous in general when you're like nervous and you know what's going on and people are screaming and yelling? And I think we would add more chaos to what's going on. I think that why should the community have to step in to do the job that the police should be doing? The police should be de-escalating, talking this person down, trying to figure out how to get the knife out of his hand. Or
it's nothing more. I don't think that you could try to de-escalate the situation than hearing people say don't kill him or stop. You get what I'm saying? Like that was happening during that time. And I feel like even with the the specialists, I feel like some people will disagree with you on that only because of just how much it would cost. I'm not saying that you're right, but let's just say, well, you said to distribute the funds, redistribute the funds, but that's a lot to hire specialists, multiple specialists, because who knows if it's 10 calls at one time, like how many specialists are we actually talking about here? I feel like they're kind of letting you know, like, they don't even want to think about that only because we not special. Like, that's a routine call to them that went super bad. It wasn't a hostage situation. So that's why they weren't, deploying the right people or the right contacts for it. It's like you said, it kind of boiled down to the money situation as well.
Well, what I mean by specialist, I don't mean like, let's call in the hostage negotiator, which is what they call it in those kind of situations. I'm just saying people with diverse backgrounds, maybe a social worker background or a background working with the mentally ill that want to become police officers. This is a trained thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't take that much to become a police officer. You need a couple of hours and you need to learn how to shoot and stuff. It's not like 4 years of college and 3 years of law school. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, in the hiring process, I don't mean by bringing in a specialist, like you call in this person that makes 6 figures a year. I'm talking about just kind of reassessing how you hire people and what their backgrounds are. And just incorporating maybe meet people that have more social skills rather than training people to kill.
So now you're kind of seeing the agenda right there, because I mean, these ideas aren't new at all. They know everything you just said. So it's a reason why they don't want to change that. It's a certain kind of person or certain kind of people that they want to sign up, that they're willing to pass. And, you know, I know some people that went, you know, I actually, one of my brothers, or my cousin, but we grew up like brothers. He's a state trooper. And, you know, and I have friends that actually, you know, wouldn't pass and was like, I'd rather not. He said the test was pretty easy for the most part. The psych test is kind of pretty easy for the most part. So you're allowing the floodgates to come in for this certain kind of people, because the specialists, they're looking at that too. It's like, I have all this knowledge. I am not putting myself at risk to be shooting people and all this. I don't want to do that. So that's up to the police department to provide these guys with the right schooling, or to provide to handpick certain people too. I feel like it shouldn't just be just that. So I have a story too. One of my friends who's a state trooper, he used to work at Target, right? He used to work at Target. He was I guess the guy that catches people steal.
Yeah.
He was
security.
Undercover. Yes. Undercover security that was going around catching people still. And they made him a highlight tape after he worked there, because he used to tackle and beat up everybody. And
hire him. He didn't shoot nobody.
He like kind of used that to like his advantage. Like, he has that highlight tape. He's a state trooper now, but like he used that to his advantage. I just thought that was funny.
Well, I hope the recent events really make the decision easier.
Kanye West, baby.
Please don't play with me.
Please don't do that.
Right.
I just say,
don't.
And in Philadelphia, especially for Black men, and Dex, you know, if you vote, there's some questions on there that to me are more pertinent to Black men in the police. So that's why you need to vote, because you don't want to complain about what you didn't vote and answer them questions for.
I'm in New Jersey. I ain't answering no questions.
But that's the thing, is because we know what's happening here. And if you don't vote and actually read the question, because I almost answered it wrong, really read it and what it's asking.
What's the question?
It's about like ending stop and frisk, but the way that the question is worded, you can answer it the wrong way. Like, you have to reread it to yourself to make sure what you're saying yes or no to.
That's tricky.
All right, y'all. Well, we spent so much time on this that we didn't get to our topic. So
that was the topic.
You know what? The topic just keeps getting pushed back every week. So I wanted to talk about this when Cardi had gotten back with Offset, right? Which is funny. Offset got arrested, and here come Cardi trying to fight the police. So, talk about ride or die.
Trying.
So, but do you listen to outside influences in your relationship? Like, if people are telling you this person's bad for you, or they're saying you're in a toxic relationship, we just don't have time. We gonna have to. Dexter was ready.
Dexter was ready.
Dexter was ready. We just ran out of time. We'll do it next week, hopefully, God willing.
We'll do it next week.
I do think the conversation we did just have was important, though, because I think a lot of people have like so many different emotions and feelings about it, and I think people need to see other people feel the way that they do too, or think, you know, whatever. But still go out there and vote, though. Like, you definitely want to vote, and also don't let this one thing that's happening right now like cloud your overall judgment. There's a lot going on, and there has been a lot going on, and you don't want G.I. Joe to be your president. Like, you don't want to do this.
Wait, who's G.I. Joe?
Donald Trump, when he jumped off the plane after having virus.
Because the other guy's name is Joe Biden. I was like, what? I don't know what if Donald Trump's that is my fear. Donald Trump getting elected again. I can't take another 4 years of the racism and the apathy and the lack of empathy and just him and that toupee. I can't do it. I can't do big. I can't.
I just real quick question for you. The election next week, we know, is coming up. Are you guys worried about social unrest either way? Either way, this election sways. Like, are you worried about like?
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
Again. and we have people that are very upset, and then or he loses and we have very racist people that may be doing not necessarily riot or looting but very violent acts specifically towards people of color.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. This is gonna be a war. I would like a small mini civil war, and I'm not saying that to scare people, but that's the importance of what's happening in this moment, and when you watch the commercials, you hear them say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. No, it is. For this exact reason, we literally have a racist in the White House that consorts with the people from the KKK and all these racist organizations. He's allowed them to flourish in 4 years, where the FBI has told them that one of the worst threats to the nation are these terror, like they're domestic terrorist groups, they're radicals. It's gonna be scary, guys.
Yeah,
definitely. People are gonna be mad on both sides, and that's why I'm happy that people are getting out there and voting early. Just vote early and stay inside, yo. Like, I'm scared. I am. This isn't a very important election. I've never felt this way. Mind you, I haven't voted a lot. Like, my first time voting was like Barack, so I've only really had like three. This is my third, fourth one. Don't judge me. But, like, I've only really had Barack, Hillary, now this. All of us, kind of,
Yeah.
The stakes didn't feel this high. It feels bad.
Yeah. So we'll see. Because if you think this 4 years was bad, I mean, have you seen how many billionaires have gotten richer during this time, during this pandemic? You know what I'm saying? The tax cuts that they've received, the money that they've gotten from the government for those loans that were supposed to go to small businesses that ended up going to major corporations. People have literally, the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poorer in these past 4 years. And I don't think people realize that. Why? People are complaining about his tax plan. He wants to charge people making over $400,000 28%. That's reasonable. You know what I'm saying? But but because they're not paying that right now.
They don't want to pay taxes at all.
Yo, when I was making 6 figures, I literally was paying, I think, 20% in taxes. 20%. You know what I'm saying? The more money you make, the more taxes you're supposed to pay. But it's like under this election, under this president, the more money they've been making, the less taxes they've been paying. So then they put out Biden's tax plan, and now people are like, oh, the tax. You dumbass. This is what people were getting charged during the Bush administration. Yep. This is what rich people were paying in taxes before this guy came into the office and started to give his friends tax breaks. Child, don't get me started.
Well, that's easy when you ain't never paid taxes yourself.
Right.
I get everybody a break. Everybody but us. We ain't getting no break.
I think Joe Biden needs to do more interviews. I'm so happy that he talked to me, so he could talk to at least my audience, where he could explain the tax plan and he could make people understand that it's not like this is like, he's going to be charging people a ridiculous amount of taxes. Like, no, this is what rich people used to pay in taxes.
Yep.
And now they're not paying it because of the current president.
And they can afford to pay it.
Right. More money, more taxes. It's a way of life. Bigger house, more taxes. It's the American way. I don't know how it works where you make more money and you pay less taxes. So let me get off my Kanye rant. The next time we talk, we'll see who's the next president. Right?
Ooh.
A week from now.
Feels heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, did I scare y'all?
Nah, I'm good.
Dexter looks scared. Well, thank y'all for listening and watching. I'm red. I'm hot, y'all. Like, I hope people take this serious. For real. Thank you for listening. It's the 151st episode of the Mina's House podcast. I'm Mina Say What?
I'm Shana B.
Garnett Briscoe, aka Sherlock Homeboi.
Dexter Stuckey, aka Dexter One, definitely voting next week as well. Just want to put that out there.
You haven't voted yet?
No, I'm a day of go in there, press the buttons. Like I want the whole like.
You and my sister.
I'm not playing. Listen, Trump's gonna have his Proud Boys out there. I'm not fighting nobody to get my vote in. I'm not.
Bring your chair, Dex. Bring your chair. They allow you to bring your chair.
And shout out to everybody who's been voting early. Seriously, the lines, it's been incredible. You know, I think
it's crazy.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I saw somewhere that like 70,000 people have voted already. So I don't know if that's accurate at all or it's more or less.
I thought it was more, but
Yeah, hold on. I think I got that wrong. Let me Google.
yeah, I was about to say I heard it was like a lot.
Maybe it's 70 million.
I don't know, but it was high. I was like 70,000 still kind of low.
I was just happy 70,000 people care enough to start early. Wait, I need to get this before we go. I know you got to go, Dex. Dex is important. You are smart. You are important. 70 million. I'm sorry.
Okay, right. I was like,
You know I wasn't that good at math, y'all. I got straight A's except for math. So, all right, y'all. Have a good day.